Good evening, welcome to North West Tonight with Annabelle Tiffin. Our top story, prison for the woman who said that a Southport mosque should be blown up with worshippers inside. The judge said although Julie Sweeney was a previously good character, keyboard warriors had to face the consequences of their actions. Also tonight, banned XL bullies, but now this animal sanctuary says it's struggling to cope with the number of dogs being abandoned. Saving the dunes, we take a look at the battle to restore this vital natural sea defence along the Lancashire coast. A young woman's romantic memento from the First World War, now reunited with her family thanks to a metal detectorist.
And today has been rather pleasant, but it's your sunset pictures from last night that really got my attention. I'll show you some more and give you the full details of the forecast at the end of the programme.
A 53-year-old woman from Cheshire who used social media to suggest that a mosque should be blown up with worshippers inside has been jailed for 15 months. Julie Sweeney posted the message on Facebook in the wake of violence that flared after last month's mass stabbing in Southport. Andy Gill is at Chester Crown Court for us now. And Andy, tell us more about what Julie Sweeney actually did.
Well, Annabelle, Julie Sweeney is from Church Lord near Alsager. She appeared in court here today by a video link from Star Prison, and she admitted sending a communication threatening death or serious harm. You recall the violence that flared after those stabbings in Southport, fueled by false online rumours that the suspect was a Muslim. In fact, he's from a Rwandan Christian family. And after the violence in Southport, local people went to the mosque and helped to repair it. Julie Sweeney was responding on Facebook to images of people doing that repairing, and she said it's absolutely ridiculous. Don't protect the mosque, blow the mosque up with the adults in it. The prosecution said that Facebook group had more than 5,000 members. It's normally a place for news about local events or lost and found items, but the prosecution did accept that she'd done this recklessly and she would not have taken part in any violence herself.
Yes, because Andy, Julie Sweeney had no previous convictions, did she?
None at all. Never been in trouble before. Her defence said she'd lived a quiet, sheltered life in Cheshire. No previous convictions. She's the primary carer for her husband, who has health issues. And her defence said she's genuinely remorseful. Judge Stephen Everett said that she should have reacted with horror to the news of the violence, like right-thinking people. Instead, she chose to go and stir up hatred. He said it was a terrible threat. The judge said so-called keyboard warriors like her must take responsibility for their inflammatory and disgusting language. Julie Sweeney said, "Thank you, Your Honour," as she was jailed for 15 months. This, of course, the latest in a growing number of people who've either been jailed or charged following the unrest that followed the Southport stabbings across the northwest. That figure well into 3 figures now. And police forces in Merseyside, Cheshire, Greater Manchester and Lancashire, of course, still seeking a lot of people whose images they've released, images of people taking part in the violent unrest.
Andy, thanks very much indeed. That's our reporter Andy Gill at Chester Crown Court for us. So another person jailed for comments made on social media in the wake of the Southport attack, and there's likely to be more to follow. The government's now under increasing pressure to take action against online sites that carry potentially inflammatory material. Some civil liberties groups are concerned that the boundaries between free speech and hate speech are in danger of being blurred. Well, joining me to discuss all this is Professor Richard Ridyard, Professor of Law at John Moores University. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Where is the line between saying something controversial and saying something illegal?
As it currently stands, what the law looks for is threatening, abusive, insulting language, whether it's verbal or written, and also behaviour. Moreover, it also looks for intent. You need to have the intent to stir up or incite hatred, or alternatively, within the context within which the speech has been said, it is likely to stir up or incite hatred. So it's both the content of the speech and the context that matters.
But we do see on social media, just to name a couple, people like Tommy Robinson, the former actor Lawrence Fox, saying things that could, you know, for instance, are they inciting violence or are they just speaking their mind? You know, why aren't they facing prison sentences?
On the face of it, it does seem wildly inconsistent. But these cases are determined on a case-by-case basis. And what we've seen by the government and the judiciary is to look at creating some kind of deterrent effect given the rioting that was taking place. Now, if someone like Lawrence Fox or Tommy Robinson was at the heart of this, and let's say they were staging a rally, then it may be in those circumstances and in that context that the CPS may become interested.
And it is interesting that you mention that, because certainly it does seem that after some of these really harsh sentences, that hopefully the rioting has come to an end.
Yes, that's right. And at least in the short term, this deterrent effect seems to be working. The risk, of course, is, as the dust settles and a future incident occurs, it may well be that this is forgotten and people want to push the boundaries once more.
The new Labour government has flirted with an idea that was originally thought of by the Conservatives, and they dropped it, of a clause to the Online Safety Act, legal but harmful, which would compel social media companies to take down content deemed harmful but not illegal. Would something like that help or confuse things?
Well, if you're looking purely from a deterrent effect, it's very easy to quash the speech element of these problems first and foremost. But there is a risk on the other side when it comes to this right of free speech, because it's not just that you have the right to say what you want or write what you want, within the confines of the law, of course, but it's also your right to read and to listen what you choose to. And that also diminishes if you start restricting speech that is lawful.
Yeah. So in a nutshell, do we still have confidence that we have free speech in this country?
It is a delicate balance that is going to be subject to an ongoing debate, and it depends what side of the argument you fall down. But certainly that is what the government are trying, is to reach that balance.
Richard Rudyard, thank you very much indeed. Well, let's get a roundup of some of the day's other news now. And a mental health nurse who launched a tirade of vulgar and abusive language at a deaf patient has been struck off. Andrea Burden had threatened to knock out and kill the patient on a ward at All Saints Hospital, a specialist facility for mental health patients in Oldham, in May 2020. The National Trust is warning of campers leaving their tents, bags and litter after wild camping in beauty spots in the Lake District. Last month, the organisation said it spent 2 days and £1,000 clearing up mattresses and clothing left on the shores of Buttermere. Online posts and videos that could identify the suspects are being passed to Cumbria Police. Liverpool City Council is piloting 20 new solar-powered smart bins to help improve litter collection in its major parks and busiest areas. The bins have sensor technology fitted with a crushing mechanism inside, allowing the bin to hold more rubbish and send a signal to the waste depot when it's almost full. Now, if you're watching last night's programme, you will have seen our report about a serious assault on a police officer in Blackpool. Lancashire Police released graphic footage from that attack on PC Ashley Aspinall last April. The man responsible, Ian Scott, was given a suspended prison sentence, leading Lancashire's Chief Constable to condemn the sentencing. Our reporter Mairead Smith has been to meet the officer who was seriously injured that night, doing the job he loves.
Keep squeezing. Squeeze my hand, it's Nick.
What began as a normal night of policing in Blackpool ended with PC Ashley Aspinall fighting for his life.
It's been a really long road to recovery. You know, being off for 4 months with such a traumatic incident and head injury.
PC Aspinall was attempting to arrest a man who was drunk and abusive when he was tackled to the ground.
I hit the road at such force, I just recall hearing just ringing in my ears. I felt like I was lying in a puddle, and I only realised that puddle was my own blood.
The officer feared he would die.
The only thing I can really remember is just thinking about my daughter and my family, You know, who's gonna take her to her first day at school, prom? Who's gonna walk her down the aisle? And it was just certain things like that. I just thought, I have to keep going.
This is the street where PC Ashley Aspinall was assaulted in April last year. Clearly a very different situation. It happened late on a Friday night, and since that assault, PC Aspinall says that he thinks twice before responding to incidents here, and says the assault has changed him as an officer. 50-year-old Ian Scott from Bissam pleaded guilty to wounding an emergency service worker. He was given a 2-year suspended sentence. Your Chief Constable, Sasha Hatchett, has said that she was saddened by the sentence given to the man who attacked you. How do you feel about it?
I am very upset and disappointed by the sentencing. I think that's the judge's decision. Ultimately, that sentence has been done, and that's something that they've decided. I am upset and disappointed by that, but we have to trust our judicial system to make the right decision, and it may be unfortunate that, you know, we may come across that individual again.
Just days after the court case, PC Aspinall was responding to the violence that broke out in Blackpool in response to the stabbings in Southport.
We are doing all the hours at the moment. You know, we're having rest days cancelled, and, you know, we're doing 12-hour shifts. But I think ultimately we are here to protect our communities. We are here to serve our public and our most vulnerable people. And if we don't do it, who will?
But for PC Aspinall and his colleagues, attacks like the one he suffered shouldn't be seen as part of the job. Mairead Smith, BBC North West Tonight, Blackpool.
And next tonight, XL bully dogs were banned earlier this year after a spate of deadly attacks. But that's meant that animal sanctuaries have been overwhelmed by the number of dogs abandoned by their owners. Many have had to be put down. Well, the breed originally came from America, where they were bred for illegal fights in the early 80s. They were then later brought to Britain. Well, in the last 2 years, of the 22 fatal dog attacks across the UK, 9 have been by XL bullies. That's 40% of the total. And 2 of those fatalities were here in the North West. Bella Ray Birch, a 1-year-old baby in St Helens, and 37-year-old Jonathan Hogg in Lee. Now, the new law says a dog with 60% of the characteristics of an XL bully must be classed as an XL bully. But staff at the Wolfwood Animal Sanctuary in Lancaster say that's often difficult to establish. Kevin Fitzpatrick reports.
Scylla, who's about 4, is an XL bully, but her owner Henry says she doesn't fit the image you may have of the breed.
Anyone who goes near her, she'll just sit on the floor, get cuddled, stroked like she did before on her back. She absolutely loves people, loves dogs, good playing with other dogs. She's absolutely amazing.
She's one of the lucky ones. Henry, who works at the Wolfwood Rescue, adopted and registered her just before the ban in February. So she's legal as long as she's neutered and on a lead and wearing a muzzle in public.
It's because of the size. Everyone just thinks big dog, powerful, dangerous. But they're really not. They're gentle angels, to be honest, especially her.
There have been fatal attacks by the breed, though, leading to that law change. It's resulted in this charity having to have 27 dogs put down after they met over 60% of the XL bully characteristics outlined by the government. It's been upsetting for staff.
It's a massive mess because good dogs are dying. They're persecuting the wrong end of the lead again. Everybody on site here that works within the different teams loves animals, and I'm so proud of them. On the days that we have destroyed dogs, the staff are just truly amazing.
Some of the ones we've had here for about 6 months to a year, what I've had to be put to sleep, it was one of the worst days of work I've ever had to do. You get to know them, you get to know the personalities and stuff like that. It's sad to watch them, you know.
For younger dogs like Skittles and Dot, it can take months to establish they're going to be confirmed as XL bullies, leaving them in limbo as the staff grow to love them.
We don't know yet whether we can home her or not, because we can't place her with a family and then her make height and have her taken off them because she's not exempt. She has someone that wants to rehome her, but she has made height. She has 60% of the characteristics, so we don't know if we can legally home her or not. We need the constabulary to come in and say, yes, Doc can go to the new home, or no, you have to kill her.
There you go.
The government told us the ban is important to protect public safety, and it's working with police and local authorities. But Stephen says calls for help are being rejected, and he feels abandoned to deal with the consequences.
The whole thing's been rushed. And I say we're seeing the harsh side of it.
Kevin Fitzpatrick, BBC North West Tonight, Lancaster.
Now for the latest in our Coast series, taking a look at a groundbreaking environmental project. Over the past 150 years, more than 80% of the sand dunes in Lancashire, a vital natural sea defence, have been lost. But a project to restore them in Lytham has been a big success. Here's our environment correspondent, Judy Hobson.
These dunes once stretched for miles inland, but not anymore. They had to make way for housing and roads, and now just 20% of these Lancashire dunes remain.
Sand dunes are hugely important for many different reasons. First and foremost, they act as a wonderful soft sea defence. So in years gone by, there's lots of people that would have put hard sea defences in through sea walls. But I think we're finally realising that actually nature-based solutions play a huge role in coastal defence now. And sand dunes and salt marsh act as a buffer between the land and the sea.
Removing sand dunes has left towns along the coast here vulnerable to flooding. In recent years, though, there's been a huge effort to widen the dunes once again.
This whole area has widened by up to 100 metres. Hopefully we can go out another 10 to 20 metres. The work that we're doing is pushing mean high water back.
Planting marram grass helps to bind the sand together, but over the years volunteers have also placed Christmas trees here to make the dunes even more secure.
It's very effective. So we've been using it since 2013. We're definitely not the first sand dune project to use Christmas trees, but I think we are one of the longest standing now, and it's worked extremely well, so much so that it's acted as a case study for lots of other dune projects around the UK.
Sand dunes also provide a rare habitat. The land is owned by the local councils, who recently worked with conservation groups to introduce these creatures.
Sand lizards, I love sand lizards.
They weren't playing ball today, though. This footage was filmed by BBC Springwatch.
So we release them over 4 years, 412 in total, and my job now is to monitor that population to see where they're spreading, how many we've got, and if they're breeding. We've seen over 70 this year, which is really good. Previous years we've seen about 50, 40, 50. So as we had the right habitat here, it was the perfect opportunity to get them out here. We can carry on building the dunes out towards the sea. Eventually we'll hit mean high tide where we'll lose more dunes than we're making, and that'll be the point where we stop.
The Fylde Sand Dunes project is currently being funded by the Environment Agency until 2027, but it's hoped this essential project will be able to continue for many more years after that. Judy Hobson, BBC North West Tonight, Lytham St Anne's.
So beautiful as well, aren't they, those dunes? Right, let's get the sport now. Richard is here, and the Olympics are over. We're all missing the Olympics, but you've been catching up with some of our medalists.
I have, Annabelle. Yeah, a couple of Olympic champions who are based at the Velodrome in Manchester. It's all part of the Changemaker initiative, which sees Team GB, Paralympics GB and UK sport putting something back into communities. Our fantastic Olympians, who are just back from Paris, of course, are at the heart of it. And I was lucky enough to chat to a couple of our gold medal-winning cyclists in Hyde today. Cycling royalty in Hyde today, and a golden seal of approval for a community bike hub that's making a real difference. Pick champions on hand this morning to show their thanks for the support they've had from the Northwest.
You were all stood on the podium, and I looked up to the crowd and I just was like, this is for everyone. Like a massive team behind the team, and we're just so grateful for all the support we've had from everybody, like friends, family, and everybody. It's just been amazing.
How much have you enjoyed being here today and seeing what they do here?
These are the people who actually need a bit of help now, and we can use our platform to help get people involved and come down, check it out, get people on bikes, get on bikes. It's good for your mental health, your social health, everything.
Headquartered in Manchester, supporting amazing people to do amazing things, but also what's happening on a day-to-day basis in communities.
Communities like Hyde, of course, where the mission of the Manchester Bike Kitchen is to make cycling affordable. They've refurbished 3,000 bikes in the last 2 years, with the kitchen a welcoming space which has mental health support also at the heart of what it does.
Loads of support we've done with our volunteers that have come in. Some have been struggling financially, some have had a lot of things around grief, and we've been able to sort of support that and help them, and because that's what we're about, helping people.
It's really heavy, isn't it?
And of course, gold medals are an inspiration to the young and not so young.
It's been fantastic, actually. It's been in our local community as well.
It was very exciting and very fun.
Just down the road, like to have a velodrome with cyclists like this, medalists and everything. Fantastic.
Does it make you think you want to do that one day?
Yeah, no.
Well, that's telling me, isn't it? But there's no doubt that just like everyone else, Cole was very much won over by our Olympians in Hyde today. Told off by a 4-year-old. He was brilliant, Cole, wasn't he? The National Lottery very much at the heart of that as well, by the way. Manchester United, their team splashing the cash, signing the Dutch centre-back Matthias de Ligt and Moroccan full-back Nusa Mazraoui from Bayern Munich for a combined fee of £60 million ahead of the opening Premier League match of the new season on Friday. Netherlands international de Ligt, who is 25, is reunited with United boss Erik ten Hag, who was his manager at Ajax. Warrington Wolves head coach Sam Burgess has become the first Englishman to be inducted into Australian Rugby League's Hall of Fame. Sam won top club and individual honours for the South Sydney Rabbitohs over 2 spells. He'll fly over for the ceremony after Warrington's magic weekend game with Leeds on Saturday. Lancashire cricket legend Freddie Flintoff has spoken in depth for the first time about a high-speed car crash he was involved in whilst filming on an episode of Top Gear. In the new series of Freddie Flintoff's Field of Dreams on tour, Freddie takes a team of amateur cricketers from his home city of Preston, of course, on a tour of India, having met the lads during the first series.
I don't want to sit here and feel sorry for myself. I don't want sympathy. I struggle with anxiety. You know, I have nightmares, I have flashbacks. It's been so hard to cope with. But I'm at the thinking, if I don't do something, I'm never going to do it. I've got to get on with it.
Do you know, Annabelle, it was great to see Freddie back. Hasn't lost his sense of humour at all either, you know. He really made me laugh. He said to the lads, I could say you're representing England, but it's something much bigger than that. You're representing Preston.
Yeah.
It's great to see him back, isn't it?
As you do for us every evening.
Hardly.
Rich, thank you very much indeed. Now, more than 100 years ago, during the First World War, a girl working in the fields on a farm near Burnley dropped her prized possession, a brooch inscribed with her name, Jane, given to her as a parting gift by her soldier sweetheart. Well, now, thanks to a metal detectorist, John Bradley, it has been found. And today, the precious brooch was handed back to her family. Lindsay Prosser reports.
Well, it gives me great pleasure to present this beautiful brooch.
After 110 years, a silver brooch is returned to the family of the owner.
Thank you so much, John.
Lucy, when you see that brooch now, how does that make you feel?
Very warm inside, to think of the history of it, to think it's been there all that time and now it's been found.
The brooch has the name Jane inscribed on it, and was given to Jane Cannon by her sweetheart Arthur Brown as he was leaving for the First World War.
He must have worked very hard and saved very hard to get that, and then to give it to her. And yeah, she'll have lost it, and I'd imagine looked high and low for it, but it's quite a big area really to cover.
It was common for soldiers heading off to war to give sweetheart brooches to their wives and girlfriends. Jane's was found by a detectorist in this field.
I was just sort of nearing the gate, thinking it's time to go home, and the machine made a high digit number which reads a kind of silver level. I thought, better dig this. At the bottom was this beautiful brooch.
During the First World War, the field was farmed by Jane's family, and she would have worked the land like many women did.
Oh, check that out. Oh, look at that.
Wow. The farmer who now owns the field knew that the Cannon family ran the farm during the First World War and had a daughter called Jane, and her relatives still live locally.
When John brought it, I just felt so bad on Jane who'd lost it, you know, having it presented to her than losing it. You can just imagine her working her socks off and then getting home at night and she's lost the brooch, and so it is all history coming alive, isn't it?
Jane may have lost Arthur's gift, but their love endured.
It's even nicer that they got married. So there was the happy ending that he came back and they were reunited and went on to get married and have children.
Lindsay Prosser, BBC North West Tonight.
Thank goodness, you know, it was a happy ending, wasn't it? Because they ended up marrying, but it's great that it's back in the family's hands. Right, let's find out what the weather's doing. Emmanuel.
Hello, good evening. Good evening to you at home as well. So we may not have had the Perseid meteor shower or the Northern Lights, but we did get some absolutely beautiful sunset pictures sent in by our weather watchers right across the region last night. This is caused by dust and other particles in our atmosphere which scatter the white sunlight, leaving us with the lovely oranges, purples and reds. So what is it like where you are? Send me your weather watcher pictures, and even better, you can also sign up to become a weather watcher yourself. So today has been rather pleasant, but looking ahead into tomorrow, things are not looking as promising. We're expecting quite a lot of cloud, some outbreaks of rain, which will be quite heavy in places. And that's because we have a weather front moving through tonight, and that will bring us that thickening cloud and then the outbreaks of rain tomorrow. But as it does clear off to the east, it means Friday we are expecting something a bit more promising and settled. So fine and dry and settled as we head through tonight. And then as that front moves through, we are expecting the clouds to thicken, some outbreaks of rain potentially on the Isle of Man and into parts of Cumbria as well. Temperatures down to around 9 or 10 degrees Celsius, and the winds will pick up as well. So tomorrow we'll start off with further clouds, some patchy rain initially, then the rain will become heavier and also persistent, moving through. Behind it, becoming more patchy, and temperatures getting to highs of 21 degrees Celsius, a little bit lower on the Isle of Man, but it will be windy out there. So back to the pressure chart then, because as mentioned, we do have that ridge of high pressure building by the time we head into Friday. So Friday itself, a settled day, plenty of sunshine and temperatures getting up to 21 degrees. There you go.
Ah, so it gets nice again.
It does, and yes, for the weekend as well.
Oh, good. Oh, good news. Your dress was the same beautiful colour as the sky.
Well, you know, I don't just, plan it all.
All planned. Well done. Thank you very much, Manuel. Thanks for watching. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.